She asked for nothing beyond a simple glass of water. What she received instead was a calculated moment of humiliation, carried out by a flight attendant who believed her crown of arrogance made her untouchable. In mere seconds, the entire cabin sucked in a breath as thick, sticky orange juice soaked the lap of a woman who looked ordinary, yet possessed the authority to bring a multi-million-dollar airline to its knees. What followed would hush every whisper, leave the guilty shaking. The low hum of the aircraft promised an on-time departure. But in first class, the tension pressed heavier than recycled air. Passengers lounged in plush seats, scrolling screens, sipping champagne, expecting effortless luxury. Yet in seat 3, a storm was already forming. A black woman in a sharply tailored charcoal suit sat upright. A binder of aviation documents laid open with precision.com, collected, focused. She radiated quiet authority, though no one recognized it yet. She politely requested a glass of water. Nothing more. That's when the senior flight attendant arrived. Blonde hair pulled tight, smile sharp enough to cut. She ruled the cabin like royalty surveying her domain. To her, service requests weren't duties, they were threats to her dominance. "You'll receive full service after takeoff," she said flatly, forcing a plastic cup of orange juice into the woman's hand. The woman's steady gaze never faltered. "I asked for water." Nearby passengers shifted in their seats. A simple request had turned into a silent battle. Then, with deliberate control, the attendant tilted her wrist. Juice cascaded down in a cold, sticky wave, drenching the woman's lap. Her documents, and the case at her side. Gasps rippled through the cabin. A few muffled laughs followed, then silence. "So sorry," the attendant purred, false sweetness dripping from every word. She tossed 2 thin napkins onto the mess. "Accidents happen. File a complaint when we land." She turned away, satisfied. But this wasn't an accident. It was a power move, a public humiliation. The woman in gray gently dabbed at the stain, her eyes never leaving the attendant's retreating back. Her expression remained calm, but beneath that stillness was steel. She pressed the call button. "I need to speak with your captain," she said firmly when the attendant returned. "You can complain later," the attendant sneered. "We're about to take off. Don't make a scene." That mistake would cost her everything. The woman opened her case and removed a leather wallet. She flipped it open, revealing an FAA inspector's badge that gleamed under the cabin lights. Gasps spread again. "My name is Dr. Washington," she said, her voice slicing through the air. "I am a federal aviation safety inspector. You didn't just spill juice. You interfered with my ability to perform my duties and damaged federal property. This is not a customer service issue. This is federal." The smirk vanished. The attendant's face drained of color as passengers leaned forward, realizing they had witnessed something far bigger than a petty dispute. Moments later, the captain appeared, a seasoned pilot with thousands of flight hours. He already looked annoyed at being interrupted before departure. But one glance at the badge, the soaked documents, the silent witnesses told him this was serious. "She's exaggerating," the attendant stammered, scrambling to rewrite the story. "It was an accident. She's just causing trouble." Dr. Washington remained composed. "Your crew member lied, dismissed me, and then attempted to intimidate a junior colleague into silence. That is not an accident. It's unprofessional and it's dangerous." The captain's eyes shifted to the young attendant nearby. Pale, shaking, she hesitated, then whispered the truth. She poured it on purpose. "I saw it." The words exploded through the cabin. The senior attendant gasped. Betrayed, but there was no escape now. Dr. Washington turned back to the captain. "By authority granted under FAA Order 8900.1, this aircraft is grounded pending inspection." Groans erupted from passengers, frustrated by the delay. But the weight of her words was undeniable. Grounded, a multi-million-dollar jet, stopped cold because of arrogance, deception, and one spilled a drink. The plane slowly taxied back to the gate. The self-proclaimed queen of the cabin stood frozen, her empire collapsing around her when the doors opened. Officials were wetting in FAA supervisor and a frantic airline executive. Within minutes, a formal investigation began. Crew members were questioned one by one, and the truth spilled out. Years of bullying, intimidation, misconduct, protected by glowing reviews. The senior attendant was stripped of her badge on the spot, suspended, and publicly escorted off the plane as stunned passengers watched. But the reckoning didn't end there. An internal audit uncovered systemic corruption. Supervisors who shielded her were terminated. The airline was forced into sweeping reform, retraining thousands of employees, rewriting policies, and opening anonymous reporting systems. While one woman's arrogance destroyed her career, another woman's integrity elevated hers. The once timid junior attendant who spoke up was promoted into leadership, praised for her honesty. She became the standard of professionalism the airline desperately needed. And Dr. Washington, her report didn't just ground a plane. It reshaped an entire airline's culture. Her name became synonymous with accountability, reminder that arrogance in aviation is more dangerous than turbulence. Months later, she boarded another flight. This time, a smiling crew member offered her water without hesitation. A small gesture, but proof that change had taken root. As for the disgraced attendant, her fall was merciless. Fired, blacklisted, sued, certification revoked. She lost her career, her apartment, her influence, once ruling cabins at 30,000 feet. She now served coffee at an airport kiosk, a shadow, watching jets rise into skies she would never touch again. One act of spite ruined a life. One act of integrity saved countless others, and for everyone who witnessed it, a T message was unforgettable. Power without respect is nothing. If this story held you, don't scroll away. Take action. Smash that like button. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Comment where you're watching from and which moment hit hardest. And most importantly, subscribe for more powerful stories. Asterisk.